Welcome to Time and Tide. My name is Andrew McCutcheon. And who are you, sir?
I'm Lance Franklin. Pleasure to meet you, Andrew.
Indeed. Should we shake hands?
Yes.
Excellent. That is a very famous hand, and if you don't know anything about Lance Buddy Franklin, then you need to search this name. This man is a champion of Australian rules football, and we are talking today about what's on your wrist. So before we get any further in this, let's do a wrist check. What are you wearing out there today on Time and Tide? I'm wearing the Chronomaster Sport with a white dial. Buddy?
I'm wearing a new watch, obviously designed by Zenith, and feel very humbled to have one of these pieces.
Look, this is the subject of today. It is a unique piece. Well, actually, there's two of them, isn't there?
Yes, there's two of them made. Obviously, one's for me, and then one we're going to be auctioning off, and proceeds of that will be going to ANLF, which is a foundation dearest to my heart, and which helps young kids all around Australia with their education.
So ALNF is the Australian Literacy, it's not an easy one, it doesn't roll off the tongue, Australian Literacy Numeracy Foundation. It does help Australians in marginalised communities. It's something that is dear to your heart, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Obviously, I'm a proud Indigenous man, so anytime I can give back to my people in the communities, certainly I'll do that.
So we were just having a chat before we started rolling, and Australia is a long way from Switzerland, and where you're from is a long way from everywhere. Tell us about how, and how cool is this to begin with, that Zenith are actually doing this? It's such an, the two don't necessarily go together, a Swiss watch and the Australian Outback. How did this happen?
Yeah, I'm very humbled to have created a watch with Zenith. I come from a small country town in Western Australia. I don't know if anyone's ever watched the movie Rabbit Proof Fence. It's an Indigenous movie, and me and my family, we actually lived on that road. So it's in the middle of nowhere in Western Australia. And yeah,
this is a clue,
it's pretty much telling the story of, it's in the middle of nowhere and there's a lot of dirt, and it's such an amazing place, and I feel very lucky and blessed to have lived there.
So the way that landscape and that where you were from informs this watch, let's look at it, because I'm pretty knocked out by this. This follows on from another Defy Extreme model that was informed by the desert, but it has much more Australian tones. And we've been trying to come up with a word to describe the red. Where did we get to?
Terracotta, wasn't it? I think it was terracotta. We've been trying to find the exact colour of it, but we just wanted to replicate dirt as much as possible, and I think for us, terracotta was the one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And as much as it's a word that there's other words, there's ochre, there's sand, there's obviously a lot of tones captured in this that to me really do speak of the Outback. So it's a titanium watch. It is 45 millimetres, it's 15.4 millimetres thick and 50.5 lug to lug. It fits a lot more comfortably on a normal sized wrist than you would expect, because the case itself angles down at the edges. That's how this watch sits on a 7-inch wrist. It is spectacular. And it really does have, for Aussies that have any connection to, because you look at Australia and you think this is a massive continent, there's green everywhere. There's not. There's mostly just green around the fringes, and so much of Australia is really this colour, isn't it?
Totally. It's a huge factor in Australia.
Yeah, it is. So the process is quite unusual. There's only going to be 2 of these watches made. There's yours, and there's one that's going to be auctioned very soon. So we encourage people to not only, here, have your watch back, I'm going to steal that otherwise. We encourage people to not only get behind this as yet another really beautiful Zenith Defy Extreme tiny edition, but also because it will benefit people that are really in need.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful thing that Zenith are doing here, and giving back to the Aboriginal communities in Australia is just so important to me, but also to Zenith too, so it's really good.
And look, Zenith have a tagline called "Time to Reach Your Star," and it is all about striving to be your best. It's about perfection. Like, as you look around here, we've gone through this process with Zenith of textures, and we have marble, we have sand, but the fact that this is all about reaching your best is an important message, isn't it?
Totally. There's obviously been a lot of thought that's gone into this watch. It just hasn't just happened. So yeah, as I said, I feel very blessed. We actually fell in love with the sand today, me and you, didn't we?
We did. I just wanted to write something in this because I am actually struggling to keep it together to be next to Buddy, because he is the greatest player that's ever played the game. That says Swans 23 pretty badly. We probably should have started here, buddy, but for people watching on that don't have a sense of, and again, I'm going to make you blush here, but of your place in the pantheon of Australian football, how many people have kicked 1,000 goals?
4 or 5 others, I think. So not many.
5 others.
5 others.
And that was one of the craziest moments I've ever witnessed. How was it to be at the centre of that?
It was unbelievable. It really was. I think it's something that you don't take for granted. That's for sure. I think obviously it's only happened a handful of times. So to get the opportunity to play in that game and then to kick that goal on the night with my family, my friends, people that have been on the journey with me throughout my career was something that was truly special and something I'll never forget.
So what happened was the whole stands erupted and then flooded onto the field. The players themselves couldn't get back.
Yeah, I think there was a few boys that got a few beers poured on their head when they're out in the crowd. It really was a crazy time, but something I'll definitely cherish forever. And it was a special night. And
there is conjecture that you might be the last to reach 1,000 goals. Why is that?
Fingers crossed that it can change, but the game and the demands on forwards these days is pretty hard, and to kick bags of goals these days is very difficult. So fingers crossed it can happen, but at this stage I probably can't see it happening for a long, long time.
We'd hope it does happen again for the game, but frankly I hope you're the last, just so that I can say that I met you and sat with you. Buddy, thanks so much for talking us through this watch. Do you have any last messages for people that are going to bid? Let's get them fired up. How do we pitch this one out?
Well, it's such a beautiful watch. It really is. Like,
That's what it comes
obviously,
down
I've
to,
got a few of these, but this one is truly spectacular. I'm absolutely loving this one. So yeah, just bid. It's obviously a beautiful watch, but it's also going to a great cause.
I think that says it all. I did walk in on Buddy when he first saw the watch, and it was you just looked pretty starstruck.
Yeah. Oh, I'm absolutely over the moon to have created this watch, and then obviously to have one is something I'll love forever.
Buddy, thanks so much for seeing me.
Yeah, no problem.
This has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for watching Time and Tide. Please do get behind this auction. This is something truly special. Again, Zenith, what a fantastic thing to give Australia the opportunity to do. But you can bid from anywhere, so don't be shy. I'll see you in the bidding.